So, welcome. My name's Bob Wiseman. I belong to a metal detecting club called the Pathfinders GMC, which is a small club in South Wales, a metal detecting club, but we call ourselves the Pathfinders. Putting it all together, it's rather a long name, so we call ourselves Pathfinders GMC. So over the next couple of weeks, I want to share with you our metal detecting adventures. I've started this now during COVID-19, so I can't do a lot of metal detecting, but I hope to do a lot of metal detecting fairly soon. So I hope you will subscribe and watch our videos, The Many Finds. On my next video I'll run through all of the finds that I've got, and you can see some of the pictures of the history that we do find on some of our farms. But today, mixing in a little bit of history with nostalgia, there's a film, I don't know if you remember it, called An Englishman That Went Up a Hill and Came Down a Mountain. Well, you'll see a film of the actual mound that you'll see at the end of the film, which is a Bronze Age burial mound, and the film is all about a Welsh village where two English surveyors turn up and they want to grade the mountain, or as it was, they downgraded it to a hill.
The beauty of, or your affection for this hill.
Yesterday it was a mountain, today it's a hill. 20 feet, that's all we need!
And the villagers were absolutely furious, so they proposed a plan to actually keep them there long enough while they built up the mountain, using the burial mound, and they built it up and they had to resurvey it, and then it became a mountain, which they were absolutely just. Brilliant film, I suggest you watch it. On the side there's an actual derelict village which I'm about to walk through to, that I do a lot of metal detecting around. I'll show you some of the finds, and maybe some of those cottages are connected with the film as well, as you'll recognise some of the names and maybe some of the buildings. So onto the village, and I hope you subscribe and look at our videos. Onwards, let's go. So we're off the mountain, and we're down in the old abandoned village. We're going to walk through the village, and I'm just going to tell you the history I know. The reason why I know the history here is a couple of years ago I started metal detecting around the old village, and I found quite a lot of finds, and actually the earliest finds around about 1790, so the village dates back quite some time, and where I'm sitting at the moment is the pub. Now, I know it was a pub because once I was metal detecting around, an old fella with a dog came walking past, and he said to me, "Oh, what you finding? How you doing metal detecting?" And he told me that as a little boy he used to come here when the village was still here. Many of the buildings were still standing, and quite a few people still lived here. And he told me the story of the village, and he told me that this was the Collier's Arms, and it was abandoned round about the 1920s. So this is the pub. We'll be doing some metal detecting around during the course of time, but first of all, because of COVID-19, just do a talk and a visit through the village and have a talk of the history that I know, of the things that he told me regarding it and the interesting places that are here. So let's start the walk. Okay, so this is the back wall of the pub. You can just make out the wall there with the undergrowth there. And if we look over here and come back, we have the cellar of the pub still standing, an actual beautifully arched cellar. We can put a railing in underneath it just for safety, but this is where the pub was. And we'll carry on walking through now to show you some of the other buildings which are in some respects still standing, and some of them not so good. But let's go through the village. So we're at the site of another home, which we'll quickly run through with the camera just to show you. But in 1880 and before, all this stone was lugged up and built their own houses by hand. And here I'm standing by an old bread oven. So we can have a quick look in and we can see the arch where the bread used to go in. So this was actually, I think, an outhouse. And the stone wall coming around it. The main house is behind me. And we'll walk over that and have a look at the house, which quite a bit of is actually still standing. So follow me. Okay, so we're at another home site here. This one I think is one of the oldest for the simple reason of metal detecting around here. I've had quite a few George III coins, so around about 1790, 99, 1808. So I know this house, you know, it dates back that far, and probably the rest of the village does as well. But you know, some of the finds here actually tell me that this house is dating back to those times. So I've got some of the finds here, and if I just walk through to you and show you some of the finds. Okay, so this is a George III halfpenny. The soil here, because it's black and it's been worked for many, many years, is lovely. So the coins come out actually lovely. So for George III, as many of you detectorists know, this is exceptional. You can see 1799 there with Britannia. We have two Queen Victoria threepenny bits, or joeys as they were called, and they turned this into a pair of cufflinks. Look, they're linked, so to show how poor they were to make jewellery and cufflinks using silver coins. And this one, Welsh Regiment cap badge, in really nice condition again because of the soil, so a little bit of brasso, and that's come up lovely. So these are some of the finds connected around this building here. Which I think probably dates around about 1799. So we're off to Annie John's house now. Let's go up to that. So during the course of the videos that I hope to be posting soon, when we're getting back to metal detecting, my next video I'll go through the detectors I use and some of the finds I found, and you can see what I do find. And when we're talking to farmers, how my 20 years of experience is how to do it. So if you're not sure on exactly how to get farms, I'll show you the best way. It's not that difficult. I've got a lot of farms over the years, have been very successful, but it's just about going about it the right way. And if you're an experienced detectorist or you're an inexperienced detectorist, I'll be able to show you many things, and maybe you'll be able to post me things so I can learn from you guys. Going back to the film Englishman Went Up a Hill and Came Down a Mountain, during that film there's a lady that lives in one of these cottages, and she has a son that comes back from the First World War, and he's very shell-shocked and very disturbed. And the story of this house, when I was detecting around here, the old gentleman was telling me that Annie John lived here. That was her name, and her son was the First World War, came back really shell-shocked, and he died fairly young. She was heartbroken. She lived alone for the remaining years of her life, and when she passed away, the house became derelict. Nobody wanted them in those days, the old cottages, and it stayed empty until children broke in and set fire to it, and it burnt down. And this is the state of it now. It's got its own spiral staircase here, so you can imagine Annie John walking up and down here, the children playing. I mean, it's such a small house, the roof level was really low. And sometimes metal detecting around here, you get that sense of the explosive history that's here with the children playing and many of the things that happened during the course of their lives, and they're gone. And all the work that they invested in building this place with all the stone they had to bring here. And this is where it is today, such a sad way to see it now. It'd be lovely to see it as it was back then. So that concludes the story during COVID-19. I thought I'd run through you from the Garth Mountain where they started the film right through to the village, you know, as it was. I don't know the guy that wrote the story. I understand that a lot of it was based on what was here. So here we are at the end of the video. I look forward to the next video where I'll be showing you the detectors I use and some of the finds that I've got, and hopefully we'll get back to detecting soon. So see you soon. Yeah, please, by the way, like and subscribe. I'd love to join me on this journey, so please subscribe and join into the Past Finders. See you next time.